how this deck works.
All right. Painter Servant makes everything a color.
Yep.
Grindstone, 2 mana. I think it costs 2 mana, 1 to activate.
2, or it might be 3 in 1. Hold on a second.
Okay, yeah, 3 in 1. Or it costs 1 to play, 3 to activate.
Or 1 to play, 3 to activate. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right, we'll just get back into it. And anyway, if you have the combo, you mill them out, and then they die.
mill their whole deck.
All right, so is that Lackey?
Yeah. No. That's Welder. Julian has a Lackey.
Oh, there's a Lackey versus
So
Welder.
Goblin Welder in play for Jacob Baugh, the Painted Stone player. Julian Booher playing Goblins. Jacob Baugh is a player who's had success in the past. I believe playing the same archetype. I'm going to look it up real fast. And okay, there's City of Traders for Jacob Baugh. And down comes Sensei's Divining Top, going to tap and
look at his top 3, figure it all out.
Extra mana he had hanging out there. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. 13th place in you get 13th place and another Cersei game is open with this deck, so pretty experienced with the archetype. Played it before.
Julian's been playing Goblins for a while too.
Yeah. And Goblin on Goblin action. That
Julian just hits the table.
Man, I can't believe you knew to block my Lackey. I thought everyone had forgotten about that.
Julian, I actually played Julian yesterday in 1 game under the camera, and he crushed me.
Yeah, you got milled out, if I remember correctly. Not by a
I was
grindstone.
going to, yeah.
All right, so Jacob taps a Great Furnace. Here comes another Welder. He does have that City of Traders. That's why he's not going to play another land. The way the City of Traders works is it taps for 2 mana, which is extremely powerful for a land. It does have the small drawback of going away when you play another land, though. So.
All right, so ticks up the Aether Vial to 1. Now that'll allow him to play any 1 converted mana cost Goblins for free, but I don't think he's probably going to have that many in his hand.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
I mean, he'd have to have another Lackey, which I don't think he does. He does have a War Chief in his hand.
There's the stylish Julian Booher with his headphones. Wonder what he's listening to.
Are you allowed to use electronic devices while you play? Sometimes I tell you to turn them off. Quite often.
Well, I'm assuming that it's okay.
By the fact that he's using them in the feature match area. Yes. Julian has a Wasteland, I think. A couple of Ringleaders. So Julian's kind of got the long game hand with this. He can go like Ringleader's got the War Chief. Definitely can have an explosive draw, but does not want to get milled out by the Painted Stone deck. Once again, the way the combo deck works is you get two card combo that mills your opponent's whole deck, and one uses an artifact, other uses a both use an artifact, but you know, very low cost. You turn 2 Painter Servant, and turn 3 you can activate the stone if you played it on the first turn.
That does not look like the normal War Chief. That looks like something from a deck.
It's from the Elves vs. Goblins duel deck.
Okay.
And Goblin War Chief smacks Jacob Baugh upside the head, brings him down to 18. Jacob's going to use the City of Traders at the end of Julian's turn to top. Rearrange his top cards a little bit.
Wow, he has a transformational sideboard to show and tell Emrakul.
Yeah, some of them have the ability to do that, because a lot of people will, bring in various ways to combat the deck, and you'll be like, all right, turn 3, Emrakul, go. What are you going to do, put Battle of Wits into play?
Only once.
Volcanic Island, Jacob Baugh tutors up. And all right, Jacob tops.
Interesting move. Why do you think he would have sacrificed the traders there? He wants to start developing. He has a lot of lands.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing he feels like it's fine to start developing his mana base. Because, you just want to stay hamstringed on 3 mana forever. I see an LED. I think like LED 2 lands is what I see in his hand right now. Maybe Force? LED 2 lands. Or no, puts Force back on top.
He's got 2 red cards in his hand. Those must be red elemental
Yeah,
blasts.
they're revs.
Not really good in this matchup.
Well, they're not yet, but if you play a Painter Servant, everything becomes blue. Suddenly,
Oh
they
yeah,
become
then
a
you
little
can
more
just
potent.
blow up anything on board.
Right, and that's the way that deck works. One of its many assets is you can just...
Well, they're going away right now.
Yep, so he activates Lion's Eye Diamond,
And he brainstorms and then activates Lion's Eye.
so he's going to discard his hand, but that will allow him to activate that Goblin Welder
Yeah.
and get back any card from his graveyard into play at the low cost of losing either his Great Furnace or his top.
Which would probably be Lion's Eye Diamond.
Tricky little play some people might not know. Or sorry, it's a tricky little card. Welder is a popular card in Vintage, or was. I don't know if it still is. But its card hasn't seen a ton of legacy play, but it's an extremely powerful card when you get it to work. And this does the deck for it.
All right,
All right.
there's the Grindstone.
There's Grindstone.
He just needs the other piece.
So now, yeah, Jacob just has to find Painter Servant. He does have that top going, so it should be a little easier to find. And Julian does not have a fast draw. Julian does potentially have a way to interact. He can cycle Gem Palm Incinerator to kill a Painter Servant. I think that's the extent of his interaction. Does he have anything else here? He could CGN Commander
Multiple times, yeah.
multiple times. Tuck Scrapper at instant speed. Other than that, nothing in the first game is going to allow for interaction. In fact, nothing in the second game is either.
All right, so Julian takes his turn, draws his card. Let's see what shenanigans he can get involved. He's got
Imagine Ringleader's coming down, right?
yeah, Aether Vial on 2. There's a War Chief in play. You might be able to attack with multiple goblins this turn.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he's going to probably go tap 3, cast Ringleader, see what goblins he flips up, potentially Vial one onto the battlefield. Maybe play another one if you drew, say, a pile driver off of it. But
How many pile drivers does the deck run?
3 pile drivers. But it's possible he might also just want to wasteland away one of Jacob's lands. I mean, I guess probably.
Especially even the blue one.
Yeah, you wanted to hit the blue. And you don't really want to hit Great Furnace because he can just weld it in response.
Yeah.
Alright, Julian plays a Badlands. Julian splashing black for Cabal Therapy and Perish out of the sideboard, as well as the ability to cast Layla, Line of the Void. Main deck
And Warren Weirding.
Yeah, main deck gives him access to Warren Weirding. There's Julian just stoically thinking about his next play.
Interesting that he's... Oh yeah, it's a Goblin Matron.
Plays the Matron, gets Warren Weirding, and that'll knock out the Goblin Welder. But I wonder if Julian realizes he'll get 2/1/1 tokens
Yeah.
because it's a Goblin. It's pretty sweet. Now, granted, the Goblin Welder is infinitely more valuable to Jacob Baugh than 2/1/1 tokens, but this is a funny little interaction I don't think I've ever seen come up.
Wouldn't it be better to get the Incinerator?
I would imagine so. Jacob is going to respond by activating top and then in response welding out the top, so Jacob will just draw a card for free.
Oh yeah.
And then get back the LED. He's trying to dig closer to that Painter Servant. He activates the top 2 so he can dig a card deeper down. Sees 3 cards on top. If he doesn't like those, he's going to be stuck with them for a little while.
Even he can weld. Or he can grindstone himself, can he?
Oh, he could grindstone himself. That's certainly true.
Yeah.
You have to find a third mana source. Not sure he wants to lose that LED. All right. Yeah, he gets 2 goblins from the Warren Weirding. Very cute. Never seen the interaction come up.
Alright, now Wasteland takes out Volcanic Island, I'm assuming.
And, yep, Volcanic Island goes down. So Jacob's only land left is a Great Furnace. There's an LED on the battlefield too, but even if Jacob found a Painter Servant, he would still be a mana off of activating it or playing it and activating Grindstone. Jacob trades a Goblin token with the Goblin Matron. Alright, so he does have a land. It's a fetch land, no less, so he can shuffle away any cards on the top he doesn't want. Is that Painter Servant?
Yeah.
Wow, he had the perfect 2 cards. He had land, Painter Servant, that's it. And, yeah, Julian packs him in, the end.
Yeah, I feel like Julian could have played that a lot better.
What do you think Julian would
I mean, he could have matroned and had the Gem Palm Incinerator and held that up. And... Oh, it went to kill Painter Servant, though, yet. He didn't have enough goblins in play.
Yeah, and even if he could kill Painter Servant, like, it's really easy to weld that back in.
True, yeah. Yeah, he was... Okay, yeah, I can see all the interactions now.
I mean, maybe I think
I guess he did play that correct then. I wasn't thinking about everything.
well, I think getting Incinerator and killing off the welder is fine because you draw a card off of that and you don't give him 2 goblins.
Yeah, that play I like. But maybe he wants to use that later. He keeps his Incinerator in his deck.
Well, yeah, but he plays 4 Gem Palm Incinerators.
There's 4? Yeah, then why wouldn't you just do that?
Yeah. Yeah, Gem Palm Incinerator is pretty much the staple removal spell of goblins to play 4, and it's... I was surprised he went for the Warm Weirding there instead.
Well, I guess that then allows him to kill the land in play and make him need land plus Painter Servant instead of just Painter Servant.
But I think they cost the same. Gem Palm Incinerator costs 2 to cycle.
No, Warren Weirding costs 1 because of War Chief.
Oh, that's the difference. Okay, that's why you would go for Warm Weirding.
Yeah.
I forgot that. Oh, crazy times. Goblin War Chief reducing the cost of tribal spells.
Yeah.
I did miss that interaction. Okay, yes, I like Julian's play then.
Yeah, it makes
Although,
a lot more sense.
I'm not sure about serving... Well, I guess that's probably okay. Like serving a Goblin Matron. Trading off one of his free tokens for Goblin Matron when you're trying to build up an army is not the greatest trade, but you do want to be able to serve in with that War Chief. So, in any case, Jacob takes down the first game. Heading into their sideboards, let's see what options we have here to help out Jacob.
He would just have the Spellskite Emrakul Show and Tell if that comes in. I don't know if that does. Because what does most Goblin decks have for this matchup?
Well, Goblins could bring in Cabal Therapy, potentially. Leyline of the Void, if he's worried about Goblin Welder, but I doubt he's going to bring Leyline. It's pretty narrow. And for 4 of your cards, it's really not that worth it. You have a Tuk Scrapper, which is reasonable you could bring in. I'd probably expect him to bring that in. I don't think Warren Weirding is coming in, and I don't think Goblin Pile Driver is coming in. So maybe Cabal Therapy and Tuk Scrapper. Those could be the options. So we bring in those 5 cards. I always find it kind of tricky to sideboard with Goblins. What do you think you would take out? Would you take out any copies of Warren Weirding? Like you probably want at least 1.
Yeah.
A Goblin Sharpshooter can come out. That one's not so good. So that's 2 cards, but how do you find room for the rest of the crew?
I have no clue. How important are Goblin War Marshals in this deck after sideboard?
The War Marshals might not be quite as crucial. You could definitely shave down
Tuk
those
Scrapper?
Bit. Well, Scrapper seems very good.
Oh, that's to destroy an artifact.
Yeah.
For a second, I was thinking the 3 mana that's a 1/1 that gives you a 5/5. What's that called?
3 mana for wait. What?
It's just Tuk.
Oh, Tuk the Redeemed or the Returned. Tuk the Returned.
Okay,
is that correct?
I thought that's what it was.
Tuk the Returned might be what the token is called, but it's Tuk the Explorer, and then he turns into Tuk the Returned when he dies. But no, Tuk Scrapper is an ally that destroys an artifact when it enters the battlefield. And Julian's got 1 in his main deck and a 2nd in his sideboard that I'm sure will be coming in for this matchup, as well as his 4 Cabal Therapies. Jacob, not a ton to board in. It really depends on if he wants the Emrakul Show and Tell package or not. If he does, he can board it in. Goblins doesn't really have a good answer to it. He can Cabal Therapy.
Well,
Julian
it does have a
Cabal
good
Therapy.
answer with Warren Weirding.
Sure, yeah, he does have access to Warren Weirding, that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised if Julian cut down on his Warren Weirdings here.
I mean, you only have to have 1 in your deck, and I don't think he'll ever not play 1.
Right, I agree with that.
And because it's a format that I don't play it too often, I still assume that like Julian knows that Jacob probably has access to Emrakul.
Right.
Even though there are so many decks to keep track of in this format.
Yeah, it really is true. There's so many decks you can play, and I mean the vast majority of them have all kinds of different plans. So, I mean, I think you can assume that there's likely some kind of transformational thing Jacob could be doing. I don't know if he's got it for sure, but regardless, I don't think Show and Tell Emrakul is necessarily what you want to be doing here. He doesn't have a good way to disrupt your combo. He is going to be Cabal Therapying you, but I guess the Tuk Scrapper is a little annoying, but.
Yeah, I do like having some Mog War Marshals with Cabal Therapy, so I don't think he probably will cut that.
Oh yeah,
there's not many. All your other goblins are so good, you don't really want to be sacrificing them.
Yeah, well, we'll see how Julian chose the sideboard here. Curious a little bit myself. And maybe you don't want SCGINDY Commander, but this looks like so many goblins, you know.
It's still really fast. It deals a lot of damage.
Some reach.
I mean, if you're slowing the game down, you want the powerful spells, right?
What was that?
With like slowing the game down with Cabal Therapies, you want your powerful.
Oh right,
cards.
yeah, you can slow the game down, and plus Cabal Therapy and SCGINDY Commander is a pretty reasonable interaction too. You can just sacrifice a token, flashback Cabal Therapy.
No, they don't work together because you need more goblins to sacrifice to kill them.
For a second, I was like, oh, yes, Brad Nelson. Wait a second. Wait a second. I see what's going on there. All right, so both players shuffling up, finish sideboarding, and should be off to game 2 shortly. Jacob took game 1. It's funny because I was like, Jacob, you're probably not going to be able to win unless his 2 cards are Painter Servant,
Land.
And he thought so long on that top, I didn't think that he had the Painter Servant. But yeah, then he just had both of them.
He's just like, yep, kill you.
And once again, Jacob, no...
Julian says keep, looks up.
Starts
and he
to
did bring Leyline of the Void and a lackey.
So he wants to shut off the Goblin Welder. I just hate bringing Leyline unless I absolutely have to, just because, man, if you draw it ever, you know, it's just...
It's so bad.
So bad. We flip it to a Ringleader. It's bad. But Julian decided to be worth it here. Jacob Baugh plays Ancient Tomb, taking 2 damage and getting 2 mana. Out comes a first-turn Spellskite. That'll do a good job of blocking that guy. Blocking the Lackey.
First turn Spellskite's pretty sweet.
Yeah, for turn 1 Spellskite, that'll deal with Lackey pretty well. Also protects his combo. Jacob, to top it all off, also has Mox Opal.
That does nothing right now.
Nothing right now, but 1 more artifact, and it'll kick him up a turn on his mana.
Multiple turns with Ancient Tomb.
Yeah. I mean, next turn he could have access. If he plays a Great Furnace next turn, he could have access to 4 mana on turn 2.
That's crazy.
Julian. Let's see if I think I see a pile driver.
Multiple pile drivers.
Yeah, a bunch of pile drivers. Some of the lists of the Painter deck play Transmute artifacts. Jacob's does not.
Okay.
Instead, opting for some different options. All right, taps Badlands. Julian taps Badlands, and yep, there's both his lands tapped. Here comes Pile Driver, but just gonna ship. Can't get through that Spellskite. That Pile Driver won't be able to do it alone either, or even with the Goblin Lackey's help. Although I'm sure Jacob's just gonna block the Lackey. You can't risk that thing hitting you. I think I see a Grindstone in Jacob's hand, a Force, either Force or Brainstorm, and definitely a Brainstorm. So I think his hand is like double Brainstorm, Grindstone. I'm not sure on the other 2 cards. Island, there's Grindstone down for Jacob Baugh. Alright, and then Jacob just passes back to Julian. Julian draws a War Chief, looks like. That's one of the best cards he could have drawn there, I think. He just wants more, unless he doesn't have a 3rd land, then that could be a big issue. Alright, Jacob pretty quickly blocks a Lackey and takes 3. Drop the 15 off that attack. Yeah, I don't think Julian has a 3rd land. Plays in another Pile Driver, looking to get in there with all those guys. Oh, and there's Intuition from Jacob. That'll find, I'm guessing he's just going to go for triple Painter Servant. And if he's got a land, that should be game. Tap 2 on the Ancient Tomb for Painter Servant. 1, 2, and the land in his hand will do the Grindstone, and that'll grind out Julian. Julian has really no way to prevent that from happening to him, assuming that Jacob Baugh has a land. So this game could pretty much be over on the next turn. Alright. And is there a land? The question is there a land in Jacob's hand?
He needs the land.
I don't know. I think he would have slammed it if he had it. Yeah, if he had it, he would have slammed it. Yep, we're going for a Brainstorm right here. Is there a Chromox he could use this turn, or is he... I guess if he draws a 2-mana land,
yeah,
that's good enough. So if he finds Ancient Tomb or City of Traders, that also does it this turn. Oh, so he's putting Emrakul back on top, so he did board in the Show and Tell package.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he does have access to that Show and Tell. Alright, there's Scalding Tarn. Jacob's going to crack the Scalding Tarn. And
I don't think he's just going to try to grindstone him now, though, right?
oh wait, you can't grindstone him now.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, he could activate the ability of grindstone targeting Julian Booher.
I do remember grindstone being a sideboard card against food chain goblins. Really effective one, too.
Yeah.
Because you would set it all up and then they would just grind all of it.
Oh, right. They would play Recruiter, and then you'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, well.
It's all gone.
Yeah. Man, Goblin Recruiter is just a messed up card. That card is a terrible, terrible, terrible design.
Just stack your entire deck.
Stack your entire deck. Like, spend 5 minutes, stack your whole deck. Like, oh, that's just. It might just be one of the worst cards ever printed. Like, really bad. I think Aaron said he thought it was the worst design card of all time.
That cycle.
No, Goblin Recruiter.
Yeah, but there's a whole set of recruiters. A cycle.
There is?
Yeah.
What are the other ones?
I mean, I have no clue because none of them are relevant. I'm pretty sure there's a whole set of them.
Are you? I think you're thinking of ringleaders.
No, I thought there was a set of recruiters.
Because there's 5 ringleaders.
No, I know the ringleaders. I thought there was more recruiters. Twitter, tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I'll check on Gather real fast. So Julian sends in, trying to kill Jacob. Jacob had only 10 and has to tap his Ancient Tomb to be able to kill next turn. So, is that...
What's the other permanent play besides the Grindstone and the Spellskite?
I believe it's Painter Servant.
It is Painter Servant.
Yeah.
Oh, and it takes 3 to activate? Wow.
Now, Jacob has to be careful here. Because he doesn't want a Spellskite to die, and he can't afford to take all those hits from the pile drivers. If a Spellskite dies, it means his Painter Servant is picked apart
Well,
by...
I mean, because of this, his Spellskite has to die.
Yeah, I mean, assuming there's nothing in his hand, Spellskite has to go away. Which opens him up to getting incinerated. Yeah. And
well, even with this damage, then he can't gem. Oh, he can still jump home incinerate the Painter Servant because he'll have 1 damage on it.
right. All right. Well, let's see if or Warren Weirding if he has that in his deck either.
Oh no, he didn't have
that's
a
it.
spell. So
Yeah, and Jacob just takes it down.
Yeah.
Oh, the 2-card combo. Just set it up. That's
Poor
that.
buddy Julian.
And yeah, Goblin's taking a beating against all these combo decks. It's true with Mental Misstep Bans,